Good afternoon, everyone. I am Andrea Swedan, the founder of Altitude Connections. Welcome to our Power Live Tea Time. Before introducing you to our lovely guest today, I would like to share some of her bio. She is an expert love coach and founder of the School of Love, has helped thousands of women around the world meet their match and access deeper layers of love in their existing relationships. She's been named top 2 love coach by Yahoo, selected as TED speaker, and featured on global TV, making her the reference for women who crave a different approach to love, one that gets them out of their heads and into their hearts.
Thank you for
Diana,
me,
welcome.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Diana, I'm never going to forget the first time we met. We were at a networking event. We had to go around the circle and introduce ourselves. And you said your name and you said what you do. But I had something in me who had to approach you and ask you, did I hear right? There was this magnet in me, and then I saw this like lovely aura that you have, and I said, you know, I'm gonna approach her, why not? So I said, hi, my name is Andrea, this is what I do. What do you do exactly? And you said you're a love coach, and I thought, a love coach. Now this is the first time I hear that. So as intrigued as I was, and I'm sure all our audience is as well. So I'm going to ask you a few questions just for them to know exactly what you do. But before we get to the questions, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get to something as unique as
first of all, try to imagine I'm sitting at a table with like in-laws and extended family and people I don't know and like a different generation, and they're like, oh, how's work going? What do you do for work?
I could just imagine.
Like, I have an Egyptian background, so like I'm talking like cultural differences, age gaps, like it's just like, huh? Exactly.
You what exactly? Now there is a difference between a love coach and a love therapist.
So I think that could be a beautiful distinction to make. I'm not a therapist. So therapists do study, like they have a traditional route of study, and they are really focused on the healing of the past. And while I think actually all coaches should have some kind of like trauma formation or like therapy background or some kind of connection with like healing, the difference with coaching is really on the focus, like what's the actual path forward. So I definitely incorporate healing and somatic therapy, but I'm not a therapist. Okay. Yeah. How did I get here?
So back to your background.
You know, it's like one of those things I can only connect the dots looking back. So when I look back on my childhood, I was I'm going to say somewhere between the age of 7 and 10. And really fascinated by love and relationships and like that palpable connection between people. And I would write poetry and music, like all about love as a young child. And I remember my sister is almost 7 years older than me, and so are her friends. And they would come home after school and they would form a circle around me and ask me for relationship advice. So, and I was so young, and they were like teenagers, and I wasn't even like 10 years old. But there was I did come with this kind of like innate connection to that. But then of course I made all my own mistakes and my own mistakes. I had my own detours and my own love life and, you know, my own trials and tribulations. And then in my 20s, I decided I'll shorten the story because it's a longer story. I decided to start a blog. And my sister would always, whenever she was with a friend and they had a question, they'd say, Ask Diana. So the blog was called Ask Diana. And I was writing a lot about relationships. And then I started to host meetups in the city. And I did that for free for like a year. Every month I had a meetup and we would talk about like an aspect of relationships and conscious living. And then people started to ask me for one-on-one time. So I was like, okay, let me roll with this. So I started to do it. I did it for free for about 6 months. And I just was like, what is this? What is this thing they're asking me for? Let me get to know it. And then I had my first client who said, like, paying client, like, how much do you charge? And I just threw out a number at the time. I think I said something like 80 an hour or something. And so that was in 2016. And so it began. And so my coaching business actually took off before I was even formally like a coach. And then I got my certifications, and then I, gathering all the tools over the years and all the experience. But essentially the path really found me, if I'm being honest. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. So
Yes,
you listen
I
to your
listen
heart.
to the whispers.
Yeah, and you're
Mm-hmm.
very unique. And so do you work men and
Yeah,
women? I know
it does.
that
It comes
question
up a lot.
comes out a lot. So now,
Yeah,
yes. So is it
it's a great
just men,
question.
just women? Is it both? Does it have to
Yeah.
be? Okay, that would
Yeah.
be my next question. If it has to be a
They
couple.
don't have to be a couple, and they don't have to be in a couple. So I work with people who are single and people in relationship. Most of my programs are designed for women. So my longer term
Hmm.
programs, I do a little bit
Okay.
of one-on-one with a very few select men, but I work also with couples. So that's the capacity with which I'm working with men currently, is inside of their couple. And I run this beautiful program called the Connected Couple. So they come and they do this work together, and it's really beautiful. So I do work primarily with women, like 80%, 90%, and then the men is mostly in my couples
Okay.
work. Mm-hmm.
I see. And what
I
age
mean,
do you
I
need
don't
to be?
have
What's
any
your
age
age group?
requirements. My typical range is from 33 to like 45, but then I always have people who are in their 20s, and I sometimes work with women in their 50s and 60s. The 60s was the oldest that I've worked with. So because at the end of the day, it's about the
That you
quality
work.
of your curiosity and your approach and your willingness to be coached and your expansiveness. I don't care how old you are, but typically the people who are really
Okay.
magnetized to the work that I do are in that like 30 to 45 range.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
And what do you
Yeah, it's a
help
good
them with
question.
the most?
Really, like at the core of it, it's like coming into, if anybody's familiar with attachment styles, most of the people I work with have tendencies towards anxious attachment. Many have avoidance too. And so at the core, we're helping you come into this secure
Okay.
place where you can really see things clearly. When we are in anxiety or when we're in avoidance, it's kind of like we have a mask or a veil or an armor, and we can't actually see the truth. We can't actually see the person in front of us, and they can't see us. So we're sort of dismantling those masks that you wear to help you just feel really know how to source the feeling of peace and security within yourself, so you can feel that with another. And one of the big pieces of the work that I do that I love is really helping someone tune into, like, do you want to operate more in your feminine? So when I'm working with women, they typically want a man who's in their masculine, who knows how to occupy his masculine energy. So if that's what she wants, I'm helping
Okay.
her understand, and there's a learning process, and then there's an embodying process. How are you in your feminine energy? What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that end up being in the practical world when you're dating or in your relationship? So that there can be this like playful polarity between the people in the couple. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Sounds
Oh,
fun, right?
sounds lovely. Yes.
Yeah.
But a question out of the box. Would you say that everyone would need to hire or consult a love coach
I would,
sometimes
and I
during
don't
their
think it
life?
has to specifically be a love coach, but certainly like
Okay.
someone who can help you see yourself, see the stories you're inside of, and help you open the path to what it is you actually want to be experiencing in your life, in your relationship to money, in your relationship to men, to your parents. Yes, I think we all need those mirrors and that support system at some
Hmm.
point, if not, somewhat continuously. Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Because it starts, you mentioned
Yes.
a lot that it starts within. So we can't all have that
Mm-hmm.
open path or
Mm-hmm.
funnel, throughout their life. There is some
Yes.
hiccups, there is some blocks. You kind of
Yeah,
unblock
when we
them,
work
if I
together, and
understand.
it's all about the openness of the person, right? But it's like,
Mm.
oh, when we can drop the armor and access the truth of what's in your heart. So you're not just rationalizing everything, but you're actually accessing what's true. Suddenly, is this person for me or not? The answer becomes clear. Why do I worry so much when someone doesn't respond to me right away? The healing starts to happen, and you can like, oh, I actually feel grounded and I feel peaceful, and I'm okay. Like, I'm not, my whole happiness doesn't depend on this one person,
Mm.
or like, where's the spark in our relationship? Well, we open up to some truths, and we also see how you get in the way of what it is that you want, and who you are
Right.
entertaining as potential partners who maybe aren't a match. We can open the path to what it is that you want. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it starts within.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's nice.
I love it.
I already feel it. So,
Yeah.
you talk a lot to
Yes.
women about
Yeah.
becoming receivers in the relationships. Can
Yeah,
you tell us
oh,
a
I
little
just
more
got full
about
body
that?
goosebumps because it is so powerful, and it's like I could spend hours talking about receivership, so I'll condense it. Like,
Yeah,
receivership
go
is
for
one
it.
of those like really subtle qualities of the feminine, and even like physiologically, like, we are receivers, and when we receive, there's like a magic that
Mm-hmm.
happens that allows us to turn what we receive into something exponentially greater, right? So whether it's like procreation, or there's so many ways in which we do that so effortlessly. And what I see a lot is women's being in the position of overgivers, overthinkers, overdoers, over functioning, performing,
Over
analyzing. Oh my god,
analyzing.
analyzing till your like brain is gonna explode, and all your friends too.
I had to say
And
it
all your friends
quietly.
are tired of the analyzing, but they also can't help it themselves. And it's like, it's such a forward energy. It's like this giving, problem solving, solution oriented. It's very masculine energy, and it really comes from a wounded place. So this is about like, whoa, what is all of this that we're carrying? And like, let's clear the stories, let's clear the narratives, let's create some space in your body where you can feel more secure and confident and relaxed, and actually allow someone to come with their masculine energy and move towards you. And I would say being in receivership and being in secure attachment is a very magnetic, potent energy and space to be in. And it's like, I think to when I was, my husband and I, we've been together for 10 years. And when we were dating, he would always say things like, "Oh, you're such a woman." And when I would ask him, "What do you mean by that?" It's like the words he was using, but I don't think he realized is like, he loved how I could receive from him, whether it was pleasure or whether it was errands or whether it was a helping hand. Not that I'm helpless and I can't do things. I would cook dinner for him. I would do nice gestures, but I was so good at receiving from him. And it gives the masculine energy this like motivation. Oh, I want to achieve this thing. I want to provide. There's something I can offer here. It's a very magnetic place to be.
Right.
We are conditioned as women to be givers, when actually we can really just be nurturing with our energy. We don't actually have to give and do too much.
True, true. And you also
Mm-hmm.
understood when he would give you that comment. Well, first, it
Mm-hmm.
was nice that you asked because we have, tendency
Yeah.
of not
Yeah.
communicating properly, right, as a couple. So it's nice that you asked. So, and then when he said it again, you were comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
it because you knew what
Exactly.
he meant
Yeah.
and you
Yes, and it
received
makes
it
him feel so good that
properly.
I can receive what he's offering. But if there's no space for him to give to me, because I'm always ready to plan the next date, ready to call him, ready to text him, ready to set things in stone, and I don't give him any chance to come to me, there's a lack of like playfulness and polarity, and the attraction starts to fade. It's a very natural human
Mm,
approach. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right, absolutely. Nice. Okay, so what are some of the common blocks you see with the woman you work with? I'm curious to know what's
Yeah,
common
what's
in your
common?
work.
A lot of anxiety tendencies, like, did I say the wrong thing? Did I screw it up? Am I ever going to meet the person? Is my person going to leave because I did the wrong thing? My partner really loved me the way. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, right? So there's like the self-doubt, and at the core of almost everyone I've worked with is like the true narrative deep down inside of, am I enough?
Okay, so would you think that a woman doesn't have enough confidence in her? Or does she need to love
It's
herself
not,
first
it could
or
be
more?
there's a perceived confidence a lot of the time, but then it's like the true ability to be still with yourself and feel really good with yourself. I experienced my secure attachment with Jack, and big differences in that relationship was I knew without a doubt, this is an amazing catch. Like, this guy is like, wow, this is definitely like king material, right? But I also, when I'd thought that in the
Right.
past, it was like, oh my God, I hope I don't screw this up. Oh my God, I hope this works out. But it was the first time, the first relationship where I was like, I know I'm amazing too. So he's also so lucky. This is so cool. We're like really meeting each other with like, yes, like,
Right,
and
that's
if this
nice.
doesn't work out, that's also a shame for him. It,
Oh, but
so
that's
that's what I
rare
mean.
that a
And it's
woman
not a
would say
love
that.
yourself first, because
Yeah.
then you'll be waiting for a long time, because loving yourself is a journey. So
Hmm.
it's just,
So it goes back
it's
to self-worth.
it's
That's
yeah,
what
and
you're
your
saying.
whole self perception. But the truth is, it's not just a mindset thing. When we carry a story in our bodies from when we were really little that says you're not enough, or things don't work out easy, and life's not easy, life is hard, you have to work hard, and we carry those narratives beyond just our minds, but they
Hmm.
really live like in our bodies. I can't just work with your mindset. I have to also bring the body on board. So I'll ask you questions like, oh, how interesting. Where do you feel that in your body? And then we explore that. Oh, okay. That's an interesting piece of awareness. How does your body want to move through this? What's your body's truth? So I don't just work with the mindset. I really incorporate like the soma, the body. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Nice. I know. I understand it. And would you say it's the same block for men?
With men, it's almost like the complement of that. So yes, there is definitely like, am I enough is at the core of, I think, so many of our true beliefs, is like a belief that we aren't enough, that there's something more we're
Hmm.
supposed to do or be to have love. In a very generalized statement, okay, so often we see the women in their more anxious tendencies, and the men in their more avoidant tendencies,
Okay.
right? Like a woman wanting to have a conversation right away and solve things and get to the point, and this is again a generalization, and you might
Right.
be experiencing the reverse in your own life or your own relationship, and the men kind of wanting to run away or hide from tough conversations. So it might show up differently for men and women, but at the core, it's fear. If I'm anxiously attached, it's because my
Okay.
caregivers might have been a little inconsistent in the way they were attuned to my needs. If I'm avoidantly attached, it could be because my
Hmm.
caregivers, there was some neglect in my early childhood.
Right. Right. So you really look
I really incorporate the
from the
inner child.
past. Right. You go deep and incorporate and
In some
not redesign
ways,
the
yeah,
past,
in
the
some
past,
ways.
but
We do
right.
reorganize like
Right?
beliefs and
Yeah.
patterns, and so that we can move forward with like a new way of not only thinking but feeling.
That's right. So yeah, that's nice. So you
Yes,
you bring
so
awareness to
exactly,
the
beautiful.
emotions,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Nice. So can you share with us what are the most beautiful
Oh, I've seen so
transformations you've
many. Like,
seen?
there was one woman, I've seen so many. There
Mhm.
was one woman who came into Inner Circle, and she shared
Really?
about her experience. She wrote like a beautiful long post for me where, her and her husband, not because there was any big problem, but they were feeling disconnected and she was considering separation. And she came into Inner Circle, and through her own exploration of just her own self, we would sometimes talk about her partner, but most of it was like really just focusing on her. Where is she gripping onto control? How is fear permeating like her thoughts and the way she shows up in her relationships? We just like dismantled the fear around her, and then she started to feel more at ease around him and more like, I don't want to say just turned on sexually, but turned on even by her heart around him. Like she started to relax enough to let him be her partner, as opposed to like showing up kind of like his parent, let's say. Controller.
Okay.
Right? Which
or
I see often in relationships. Often. So then it was like, within a few months, she's now, you know, admiring him. They're having these beautiful conversations. He's noticing the work that she's doing, and the relationship now is it's beautiful and fruitful and strong. I mean, like, oh my God, there are so many. There was one woman in one of the past rounds of Inner Circle who she'd been single for years. She'd been single for 8 years. And she's like, but well, can it even really happen for me? Like, I've been single for so long. And because she was so open, her heart was so open, she stayed in, like, as a learner, she stayed curious. Within a couple of months, she met a man who she's now living with. They're talking about a baby. And, you know,
nice.
I can never promise this for anyone who comes through my door. So that's why I'm also really discerning about, are you prepared for this? Because the things you want can happen. So are you really ready? Because we can get you to that relationship.
Right.
Yes.
You need to vision it.
Yes.
You help them vision it. Yes, because I see that you repeat that on your website. I like that. The release, to visualize and to become.
I do.
You talk a lot about that.
Oh yeah.
And what is the Inner Circle?
Yes, Inner Circle is
it's
almost like a mastermind. Okay, but I will not call it a mastermind because this is not like business. But it's really my space where you get like very high level mentorship, very customized coaching, super high proximity to me. Like we have a chat going for every day for the 6 months that we're working together. 6 months is kind of the minimum, and then you can stay on, which people often do. And it's really, you know, like exploration of all these concepts in a deeper dive, but then also like coming in and saying, what do you need? What's your unique intention? And I will help support you to get there. And when you start to fall back to your old patterns, I will pull you back towards the vision. There's no messing around. And so, you know, they get like the most intimate experience, one-on-one time with me. They get my most intimate stories, everything I learn inside of my relationship or in my life, I'm sharing with them very intimate details. And you know, they're having breakthroughs and they're applying it in their life, and their relationships are transforming, and their hearts feel different, their bodies feel different. Sometimes they make more money because their receiving capacity expands exponentially.
Okay. I see.
Yes.
So you must have different courses, right? So if somebody is interested, they go to your website.
I think the best way to get in touch with me, if they're watching this or on Instagram, is really on Instagram. Yeah, and I can like explain the different offers.
Oh, really?
And we can have a chat about, you know, what do you want right now? What do you need? What offer or program would be best for you to really serve where you are?
Okay. Nice.
Yes,
so you must have different programs. Okay. Nice. Very nice. Well, thank you so much.
I appreciate
it. Of course, it's my pleasure. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you don't have them now,
if you watch the replay and you want to tag me in a question or send me a private message, I'm so happy to chat.
Yes, of course. They can watch the replay. It's going to be on Spotify and on YouTube. Yeah, under AskAndreaMTL.
Thank you, Andrea, so much. And thank you for everyone who's watching now.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
You too.
Have a lovely weekend. And thank you everyone for joining.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.